When you look at the life of Hazrat Ali, you realize something that shakes your soul to the core. It's one thing to fight strangers, it's one thing to go head to head with someone you never knew, but it's an entirely different struggle when the person standing against you is your own family, your own blood, your own people. That's the kind of test that cuts deep, because it forces you to choose between comfort and conviction, between love and loyalty to the truth. And Hazrat Ali showed the world that standing for truth sometimes means standing alone, even if the ones closest to you can't understand, even if it hurts more than the wounds of a sword, because betrayal or opposition from family is not just an external battle, it's an internal storm that rips through your heart. Yet in that moment, Hazrat Ali did not waver, he did not hesitate, because his loyalty was to Allah, his devotion was to justice, and his mission was to uphold what was right no matter who stood in the way. That's where the greatness of his character shines. Imagine being in a situation where every fiber of your being wants peace with your family, but the call of God demands that you stand firm. It would have been easier to step back, to say, "He's my uncle, my relative, let someone else face him." But Hazrat Ali never chose the easy way out. He chose the way of truth, and sometimes the way of truth is the loneliest road you'll ever walk. There's no applause, no comfort, no warm embrace when you're standing against your own blood. There's only the piercing silence of sacrifice. But that silence is what makes faith real, because it proves that your devotion is not tied to people. It's tied to principles. It's tied to Allah. It's tied to something eternal. Think about it in our lives today. How many of us fold under pressure when our own family doesn't support our decisions? How many of us compromise our values just to keep peace at home? How many of us give up on our dreams because the people we love don't believe in us? But Hazrat Ali showed us that sometimes you can't get validation from those closest to you. Sometimes you can't expect everyone to clap for you. Sometimes the very people you thought would protect you are the ones who stand against you. And in that moment, you have a choice. Either you shrink back into silence and live a life of regret, or you rise up with courage and prove that your faith is unshakable. Hazrat Ali chose to rise, and that's why his name echoes through history like thunder. There's something powerful about watching a man fight not out of hatred but out of love for truth. Hazrat Ali wasn't driven by bitterness, he wasn't fueled by revenge, he wasn't caught up in ego. He fought because it was necessary to protect what was right, to defend the honor of the Prophet, to ensure that justice didn't get trampled under the weight of falsehood. That kind of strength doesn't come from muscles, it comes from faith. You can train your body all you want, but when you're standing face to face with your own family on the battlefield, the strength you need has to come from something higher than flesh and blood. It has to come from your heart being anchored in Allah. You see, people today think standing alone means being lonely, but that's not true. Standing alone with God on your side is the most powerful position you could ever be in. Hazrat Ali stood alone in moments where many others would have broken down, because he knew he wasn't truly alone. The angels were with him, the prayers of the Prophet were with him, and the strength of divine truth was on his shoulders. And when you carry that kind of strength, it doesn't matter who stands against you. It doesn't matter if it's your uncle, your cousin, your neighbor, or the entire world, because you know you're backed by the one who never loses. Now imagine the emotional weight of that battle. This wasn't just about swords clashing and armor breaking. This was about a young man standing before his elder, a nephew standing before his uncle. And in that instant, he had to silence every voice of doubt that screamed, "This is your family, this is your blood, how can you fight him?" But Hazrat Ali understood something deeper. The truest family is the family of faith, the strongest bond is the bond of truth, and the highest loyalty is to the one who created you. If your blood relative stands against that, then you choose Allah, no matter how much it hurts. That's not just a battle of weapons, that's a battle of the heart, and isn't that the same struggle we face in life? maybe not with swords, maybe not on a battlefield, but in our decisions, in our integrity, in our choices. There comes a point where you have to stand for what's right even when your family doesn't understand. Maybe they laugh at your faith, maybe they dismiss your dreams, maybe they belittle your values. And in those moments, you feel torn apart inside because you love them, you want their approval, you crave their support. But HAZRAT Ali teaches us that love for family cannot override love for Allah. Approval from people cannot override obedience to truth, and comfort cannot override conviction. When HAZRAT Ali lifted his sword, he wasn't just fighting a man, he was fighting generations of cultural weight. He was fighting expectations. He was fighting the pressure of family ties. And when he struck down falsehood, he was declaring to the world that nothing, absolutely nothing, comes before truth, and that's why his legacy still speaks today. Because truth has no favorites, justice doesn't bend for family, and faith doesn't compromise just to make relationships easier. People might say, that must have been easy for him. He was chosen, he was special. But don't get it twisted. He was human, he felt pain, he felt the sting of fighting his own uncle. The difference was he didn't let that pain control him. He let his faith guide him, and that's what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Ordinary people let emotions dictate their decisions. Extraordinary people let principles guide their actions. HAZRAT Ali chose principles, and that's why he shines as a beacon of courage. Now picture this, the battlefield dust rising, the clash of steel ringing out, and there's HAZRAT Ali, a young warrior with the weight of truth on his shoulders, standing firm, eyes locked not on his uncle but on the mission, on the higher purpose. That image alone should stir something in your soul, because it reminds you that every time you stand alone for truth in your own life, you're carrying that same spirit of courage. Every time you choose right over wrong when it costs you something, you're walking in the footsteps of Ali. Every time you say no to compromise, even when it hurts, you're proving that the blood of courage still runs through the veins of believers. And here's the hardest truth. You cannot expect everyone, even your family, to understand your journey. HAZRAT Ali's story shows us that sometimes the greatest opposition comes not from enemies, but from those closest to you. And if you're not prepared for that, you'll fold under the pressure. But if you carry faith like HAZRAT Ali did, you'll realize that standing alone is not a curse, it's an honor. It's a test, and it's a testimony. Because the moment you're willing to stand alone for truth, you're already surrounded by unseen forces of victory. So when we talk about HAZRAT Ali facing his uncle, we're not just talking about history, we're talking about a lesson that keeps repeating in our own lives. Every time you're tested, every time you're tempted to compromise, every time you feel torn between love for family and love for truth, remember Ali. Remember the battlefield, remember the dust, the silence, the courage, and remember that sometimes the price of standing for truth is standing alone, but the reward of standing for truth is eternal honor in the sight of Allah.